So recently, everyone's been talking about One Piece. More specifically, the One Piece live action that's currently scheduled to be released in August. I have to admit I'm pretty excited to watch it, and I'm interested to see how they handle the story in such a different medium.
Oh my God!
To celebrate, I wanted to go over all the leaked information we have over the live action release in order to estimate how good the show will actually be. Of course, this video will contain spoilers for the current chapters of the manga. So if you haven't caught up to the Emperor Saga, then click away now. You have been warned. First, I quickly wanted to discuss how the series will be laid out episodically, covering the events of East Blue in Season 1. We know the anime had 20 episodes to cover the saga. However, with the live action, there will be a total of 8 one-hour episodes. With Season 2, we can expect roughly the same amount, differentiating however in story, as Season 2 will cover the events of the Grand Line Saga. We also got information on Movie 1 and Movie 2. Netflix has now officially confirmed the events of the Great Pirate Tournament and the Mystery of Hodao Island will not be receiving a live-action adaptation. I'm personally in tears about this, though of course there will still be some characters from Movie 2 who we'll get to see presented through live action as they appear later in the story.
Wazowski.
I think now would be an appropriate time to talk about one of the most important factors in the live-action series, the cast. Netflix seemed very happy with their casting choices, and honestly they should be. They did an amazing job at blending lesser-known actors with more popular choices, and every character is accurately represented. First up in the casting, I think we should talk about Pierre and who will be playing him. There were various leaks concerning the casting choice for him, many people theorizing Pierre was to be played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The leaks did turn out to be false despite all the evidence, and Pierre will instead be played by Ryan Hurst. Ryan Hurst, for those of you who don't know, made his career by appearing in multiple well-known TV shows before his biggest role as Thor. Having already played a character with similar features, I think Ryan would be a decent choice in giving Pierre a live-action counterpart. With a bit of styling, his beard could look pretty decent, and when the live action reaches the time skip, his hair would be perfect length. Of course, we'll have to wait and see how he does, and as long as he nails Pierre's accent, he should be a good choice of actor. Of course, we can't talk about Myth Pirate captains without discussing James D. Hook. James has had a lot of talk over who should play him, though I'm very happy to say that James's live-action version is pretty good. We got the man himself, Keanu Reeves, to play him.
You're breathtaking!
Now, of course, Keanu has exactly the hair and the height to play James, resulting in a visually accurate portrayal of the character. In terms of voice and acting capabilities, I love Keanu, but I'm a bit weary on his accents and overall style. James doesn't really engage in combat until Movie 1, so Keanu's hand-to-hand skills won't be very useful with this kind of character. I still put a lot of faith in him, and I'm pretty excited to see how he'll do. Whatever happens, I'm sure Keanu will make it work, and I think it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. The next character I wanted to talk about is Yuzia and who he'll be played by. The actor who's been cast for this role isn't very well known, so I won't blame you if you've never heard of them. Netflix decided to cast Tom Holland for the role, someone who was so deprived of work as of recently, he reportedly quit all his current movies for this role. I'm honestly not too bothered about this casting. Tom has the right height, build and hair to convincingly play the character, though I do have some issues with how he'd be able to play Mr. Pegasus. Of course, in Season 2 of the live action, Tom would have to convincingly play Yuzia as a Cypher Pol agent, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't see him doing it. Maybe I'm being too harsh on old Tom here, but he doesn't strike me as a character who can play that secret agent role very convincingly. Next up we got Miles, and this one is huge from Netflix. That's right, Drizzy Drake has been cast to play Miles Griffin, which makes perfect sense in my eyes. We know that Drake has that drip to pull off the gray cloak that Miles so famously wears.
Like 11, I think.
And his acting skills are pretty good on top of that. The only thing I would be weary about acting-wise would be Drake's Australian accent possibly sounding too fake for the role. I think this is a great cast, however, Miles being a very rizzy character which suits Drake's style quite well. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing Miles in the live-action version, and he's definitely up there with my favorite casting.
You know what it is, dog.
Now I think we should talk about the best character in the series, Lincia. I'm not a huge fan of her, though I can agree that who plays her within the live action is a pretty fitting choice. Awkwafina. There's a lot of debate over whether or not she's really a good fit for the role, but I think we shouldn't really care. Let me ask you this. Do you really like Lancia as a character? She, in both the manga and in the anime, is one of the most useless myth pirates, having never taken a proper W. If you're caught up to the Emperor Saga, you'd know she damages Pierre during the fight, which is fucking trash. In my opinion, Awkwafina is not a bad shout, and I won't get worked up over a character's casting when I don't even like the original in the first place. Now you know what time it is.
Oh yes!
It's time to talk about Bubba's casting as James Corden. What is there not to love about this casting? Corden has the body type on lock. I'd love to hear how he sounds doing Bubba's voice, and how they'll reimagine the cannonball scene involving the mother. Corden has openly talked about how much he's a fan of the manga, having collected every volume himself. From this information, we can definitely see the passion and love he'll bring to the role of Bubba. I don't have any concerns about Corden's role whatsoever, and I think we've proven that a live-action Fishman could look great if delivered correctly. Next up, we got Anna, who was played by McKenna Grace.
What the dog?
In terms of Anna's age during the East Blue, McKenna seems young enough for typical Hollywood casting, hopefully portraying Anna in a reasonably realistic way. McKenna's played in a few popular films, so hopefully she has enough experience to take on this role. My only concern would be the emotional scenes Anna's involved in, as well as the hair possibly looking too goofy for the series. With such a huge budget on the live action, I'd like to think Netflix can create a realistic snake effect, though we'll have to see how good their CGI is. Overall, I'm not too indifferent about this casting choice, and I hope McKenna brings the levels required for the GOAT Anna. Now hold up 1 minute. What kind of East Blue series would this be, without the boy Johnny Skins? When you think of Johnny Skins, you think of Western cowboys, gunslinging, and dead people. Netflix decided not to cast a real skeleton for the role, which in my opinion is a missed opportunity. Netflix instead, however, brought in Woody Harrelson, someone I think fits perfectly. Woody certainly has the acting capabilities to deliver a great performance as Johnny, and Netflix definitely went in the right direction with this one. Of course, as everybody knows, Johnny is a skeleton, meaning that a large amount of CGI is going to be used when he's on screen. This essentially means Woody will be voice acting for most of his time. However, if Netflix do decide to give Johnny any flashback scenes, we'd be able to see Woody in the role, which I'm really excited for. Alright, so if I told you a few years ago that we'd see a live-action Jack Walt, you would have thought I was crazy. However, what if I told you we'd see a live-action Jack Walt that's played and portrayed by none other than Jack Black? Jack Black has easily proven himself to be the perfect casting for Walt, managing to pump out a variety of work in his career. Jack's voices and line work is nothing short of legendary, having already played Bowser in the Mario movie earlier this year. He has the right height, body size, and charming good looks to display the character. Of course, for those of who are caught up to the anime, you'd know that Jack isn't going to make it past season 2, though I'm happy nonetheless with Netflix's choice, and I can't wait to see Jack in action. If there's one thing I like about Netflix's casting, it's that they really know what actors can convincingly play a role. For a character like Pierre, they managed to cast someone with a decent build and decent height, whilst also having played other similar characters in the past. So with a character like Jiraiya, it was clear that they needed to get someone who was actually insane to play the character. This is why I think Jared Leto was a fantastic choice for the role, having the personality without even having to act.
My name is Fubuki Shirakawa. Nice to meet you.
Wow.
The build is pretty good too, not being too skinny or bulky, and I imagine in another life, he would make a pretty good hyena. I think he'd have some great chemistry with Jack Black, and I definitely can't see anything going wrong with this casting choice whatsoever. Now, it's not yet revealed who in live action will play Hurden Myers to complete the Cypher Pole trio. However, you know who's better than Old Man Hurden.
What the hell?
The Bandit King, played by Josh Brolin. The Bandit King is the most influential, most terrifying, and most drippy character in all of One Piece. Who else would play the Bandit King? Josh Brolin has the size and power to give off those big enemy vibes, matching the Bandit King's presence masterfully. I'm really sad to say, of course Josh won't be in any later seasons due to the Bandit King being killed episode 1. However, I think that is a great choice from Netflix regardless. Moving on, we have to address the obvious villain of the East Blue and the absolute GOAT, Fiorello. Now I'm sure Netflix thought long and hard about who would actually play a decent Fiorello role, though I don't think they really thought hard enough. For whatever reason, Netflix decided to cast Jamie Foxx for the antagonist. Now I'm gonna be honest, why the fuck is Jamie Foxx being cast for this role? I assume Netflix interviewed Oda about the character, getting into the fine details about how cool and unique he is. Jamie is usually cast for a variety of action-packed movies, so I suppose that might be what Netflix tried to pull. But even after all that, Jamie Foxx was a random choice for this matter, and I really don't understand what Netflix was thinking with this one here. If we're talking about Fiorello, we also gotta bring up Marigold in the Derwent arc. Marigold gets absolutely clapped by Pierre, so we won't be seeing her for more than one episode, though she's still a very important character for later events. We may even see some Marigold flashback scenes with her and Mint later in the Red Rose saga. But who actually plays Marigold? Netflix went with Cara Delevingne, an actress who's not only played a list of psychotic characters, but is visibly accurate to Marigold's design. I'm not too mad at Netflix's choice here, and honestly I think she'd make a decent performance. Having already starred in a few fantasy action films, Cara would have experience in these kinds of roles already and could definitely fit the bill as a Red Rose villain.
W's in the chat, bro.
The Mother, an OG East Blue character who's now of course one of the main myth pirates. No surprise, the Mother will be mostly CGI generated in the live-action version of the story, however of course somebody has to voice her. Julie Kavner seems like the only option to truly play the Mother, and I'm so happy Netflix managed to get her involved with the live production. Julie's most famous voice is of course that of Marge Simpson, a character that shares incredible similarities with the Sea King. Julie's voice would 100% lend itself to this character, and I don't think anybody else could have played her better in all honesty. Julie will probably voice her all the way up until she eats the human fruit, at which point the voice actress would change slightly. For the East Blue nonetheless, I couldn't have wanted anything else, and I'm so happy with Netflix's cast on this one. So we're coming towards the end of the video, and I think we really need to discuss some more fish characters. Garen Tice is an absolute unit, being heavily important in the East Blue story. Garen is a character that needs to be intimidating, needs to be hard, needs to be fast, and needs to be furious. Essentially what I'm trying to say here is Garen Tice is played by The Rock. Is played by Jason Statham. Is played by Sylvester Stallone. Now I know what you're thinking, The Rock was a much better choice. As a matter of fact, The Rock should have just played every character in the series. The issue with The Rock, however, is that he is contracted never to lose a fight, and if you think of Garen Tice, he catches some heavy L's. Netflix did their best with casting Sylvester instead, and I'm neither here nor there about it, and I'm just happy we got a live-action Garen in the first place. Now lastly, we gotta start with where it all began. The very first Devil Fruit and the very OG, Sommel. This one was particularly important to me, as I regard this as one of the best fights in the entire series, up there with anything from the Red Rose saga. Sommel obviously had to be played by the right person, and I think Netflix hit the nail on the head with this one, casting Danny DeVito to take up the role of the titular villain. Now Danny has expressed his love for One Piece openly, stating how much the series changed his life over Twitter. I think it was nice of Netflix to let him do the role, and I really hope he delivers on the part, making the fight live up to my expectations. I don't even need to mention Danny's size and how perfect it is for the character of Sommel. I think with a bit of prosthetic makeup, he should really come out as an authentic and well-established recreation. And that's just about it. Of course, there's still some more characters that I've yet to discuss, though Netflix has yet to reveal their actors and actresses.
Oh my god. Yo.
For those wondering about the casting of the Grand Line Saga, Netflix has only produced Season 1 at this current point. If Season 2 is ever released, I will of course cover the casting choices made there, and I'm hoping for the best out of Netflix's production team. If you want to help out the channel, make sure to drop a subscription and stay tuned for some amazing content on the way.
They call me Big 4-4 on the streets. Yeah? 'Cause I'll come to the yard with the teeth. Then I blow up your Marjay's head top.